So chest X-rays when done, they are done in multiple views. So that's what like we'll be seeing in different views how normal structures will be seen. Initially, I'll be talking about chest X-ray, then I'll go to X-ray abdomen. So first we'll start with chest X-ray. So when we see a chest X-ray, we should see for things like projection, orientation, rotation, then exposure, all these things. So I'll be dealing one by one all these things, all these points when we see a chest X-ray. Before seeing normal anatomical structures, we should see whether the X-ray is proper or not. Only a proper X-ray should be interpreted, and we should try to identify the structures. If X-ray is not proper in any of these parameters, normal structures may not be seen, and they may be identified as abnormal or we may miss abnormalities. So these things are normally these must be seen. A normal X-ray should have all these things in place. I'll be dealing one by one. First is projection. Like projection means how the X-ray is taken, whether it is a PA view or AP view. PA view is posterior anterior view, and AP view is anterior posterior view. Why it is called so? Because the way X-rays goes to the patient. I'll show you an image. The usually standard X-ray is PA view. Most commonly done is PA view. Almost always. Sometimes, but many times patient cannot stand up or like a cooperate. We have to do AP view also. So these are the two most commonly done views: PA view and AP view. That is posterior anterior view and anterior posterior views. The other views are like lateral view and angular and narrotic view. All those things are not done commonly nowadays because one thing is they're difficult to do. Second thing is information is not much, and with the availability of CT, these things have become outdated. But still, AP, PA views are routinely used. These two things we'll be seeing mainly today. So, how the first identify which view it is. Based on that, we can identify structures correctly. Different structures, some structures look different on AP view and different on PA view, so that must be known before. So this is projection. The way X-rays, this is X-ray source. From the beam, they go through the patient and form an image on the cassette. This is the X-ray source. This is the patient, and this is the cassette or film where the X-ray is made. So here, from the source, X-ray is going from the poster part of the patient to the cassette. So this is a PA view. Here, though it's AP view or PA view, whatever we are seeing will be seen like a frontal view from the front itself. But the way X-rays are going through the patient will be different. So this is PA projection. From back to front, X-rays are going and then touching the cassette or film, whatever we call it. Whereas in contrary, total opposite in AP view, here either person is sitting or sleeping in either ways. X-rays are going from the front of the patient and then going back and then going on the film. So this is how X-ray AP view and PA view differs. What difference that this view makes is the structures which it meets. Like here you see the beam, X-ray beam is more diverging. The far you go, more diverging beam will come. So the structure which is nearer to the narrow beam will look more magnified on the film. So in a AP view, hard to look more magnified than the AP view by default. So that may lead to interpretation errors. So we should first know whether AP view or PA view. This is how it is done. Now, how to identify when the film is given, how to identify a PA view or AP view. Generally, most of the time it will be written on the film, PA view or AP view. But while interpreting, we should not rely only on that mark. We should also try to identify by other findings. Like it may be written on the film that it's PA view or AP view, but we should not be only relying on that thing. Wherein if the mark is written PA, that is PA. It's not like that. Sometimes mistakes may happen. So thing is like there are two things, two standard things like bone structures which we can identify. But there are many points, but these are more like consistently seen in most of the X-rays. So these things can be seen. Like one is scapula position, another position of clavicles. So this is a scapula here. This is a PA view. This is a scapula here. This is a AP view. Again clavicle. These are the clavicles. This right side, left side, right side, left side. So clavicles. Clavicle and scapula you must see. If this is a PA view, in PA view if you see scapula is far, because in the PA view patient's hands are like abducted. He keeps we try to keep the hands abducted as much as possible. So scapula will automatically move outside. We will see scapula clear of the image, away from the lung field. Whereas in AP view, you can see the middle border of scapula here. It is overlapping some of the lungs because here mostly these AP views are done in patients in ICU who cannot stand up or sleeping down. So they may not be able to cooperate to move their hands and all. So in such cases, you can see the effect of that is scapula is overlying the lungs. Sometimes if patient is able to move his hands, we may be able to do APU like that without scapula, but still this is one of the commonly seen things in a APU. Next thing is clavicles. You can see here clavicles. Like they are projecting over the lipids. Here clavicles are over the apex. This is the apex region of chest X-ray. So here clavicles are seen like apex and they're more horizontal. Whereas you see in the PA view, clavicles are more slanting and they're overlapping the apex is not obscured by the clavicles. So these are the two major, most of the time differences. But other differences are like same patient. Like most of not same patient, different patients. But if you see cardia looks bigger relatively, that is not because there is cardiomegaly. It is because cardia comes closer to the source of X-ray. It looks falsely magnified in a AP view. So that's why most of the time we don't measure cardiac exercises and all on AP view. PA view is better. How to measure we'll be seeing in the further effects. So these are few things. Some people tell ribs are sliding, like curving, this that doesn't work out most of the times. Sometimes because AP view patient is supine, diaphragm may look elevated. So you can see here many ribs are seen on the right side, diaphragm is down. But here only few ribs are seen and diaphragm is up. Elevated diaphragm will be there. And the upper lobe veins may look prominent because patient is supine sometimes. It's not routinely, but these two, scapula and clavicle, are important. They will help you to identify what type of projection it is. It's a AP view or PA view. Lateral view, there will be no doubt we'll see it as a lateral, which I'll be showing you further. Lordotic is are not done commonly. So PA view and AP view should identify first. Though it is written on the film, they may write it like AP view or PA view, that is one thing you should identify. So projection, this is about projection. So the same thing I told you, cardiac size will vary. On AP view, it will look big because the cardiac comes closer to the source, so it will be obstructing more X-rays, so it will look more big. So like that, AP versus PA. Now orientation. By orientation, we mean right or left. Up and down orientation, nobody will confuse because we usually hold apex up and when you are seeing a film. But left and right becomes confusion. Like a heart is on left side, it's most of the time known, but we must know there are some conditions where cardiac can be pulled to right side. So we must be careful when we decide the side, like left or right. Most of the time cardiac apex is on left, that's how we identify. But we must see the marking on the film, other things we should and anatomical structures we should see and identify the orientation. But mostly it is by the marker kept on the film, right or left marker. So see here, left marker is kept here. So this is the left side, and cardia is the left side. Sometimes cardia might have moved this side, so that may not be a good indicator. Marker must be strictly seen. Sometimes even stomach bubble will be seen on the diaphragm. So seeing this is the left dome of diaphragm. Under this, you are seeing a air filter. This is stomach bubble. Stomach also is thought to be mostly it is on the left side because sometimes dextrocardia, situs inversus, it can be on right side, but things will be more obvious in such a case. Here you can see cardia is on left side, stomach is on left side, so this is left side of the brain, and also marker is given correctly here. So based on mark, all these three things are correlating. So you can easily tell that this is the left, this side is the left side, this side is the right side. So there will be no confusion. Sometimes what happens, X-ray may be taken on reverse way, marker might have been put wrongly. So we must be careful while seeing a normal things. Also we must be careful because a dextrocardia heart might be seen, but that is a normal thing. It's not an abnormality because some people will not have any pathology. Isolatedly, like incidentally, it might be detected situs inversus. Patient might have come for something else, and incidentally it might be detected. So it's not an abnormal thing; it's a variation. That's it. So we must confirm the side of the film. That is orientation. Then a rotation, like for a taking X-ray, patient should stand straight. Some patients may not be able to stand. Sometimes positioning may not be done correctly, so there will be some rotation, like obliquity will come. So that also has to be how much of rotation is there. Some degree of rotation is okay. If it is too much rotated film, then it's not a PA film, but it might become some oblique view. That we should not take it as PA and interpret because we may not be able to see many structures. Some artificial structures may be seen. So to know the amount of rotation, what we do is we try to see the spinous process of vertebra, thoracic vertebra. These dots which are marked here are spinous process. Like upper thoracic vertebra, spinous process we see. And these are the clavicles which I showed you. I'll show you this film again. See, these are the spinous process of the thoracic vertebra. And these are the clavicles. We should locate the middle end of clavicles on either side. And the spinous and try to see the distance between this middle end and spinous process and this middle end and spinous process. So if they're fairly equal, then okay, no problem. That's a good exposure. If they are not equidistant from the midline, then it's a rotated film. If because of obliquity, one clavicle will look far, another clavicle will look near. What is the point of identifying it? If it is fair enough, then we can continue seeing the structures on X-ray. If it is too much rotation, then we will have to repeat the X-ray because it will be pointless reporting artificial structures. So that we should see. When we see the film, we should see for the rotation. Then inspiration. When we are doing X-ray, patient is standing, not rotated, and properly positioning of the hand is done like APRPA. One more important thing is because we are covering lungs, we want most of the area of the lung to be covered. So we must take it in full inspiration. Hold inspiration. Tell the patient to take good inspiration and hold it, and at the peak inspiration, X-ray must be taken. But that may not be always possible. Sometimes patient may not cooperate. Sometimes instruction may not be done properly. Sometimes some patients may not be able to do because they are not conscious or something. So we must try to identify the degree of inspiration because poor inspiration we'll see many artificial structures of the films. So we should try to identify the amount of good, whether there is good inspiration or not. How to identify when you take good inspiration, like diaphragms will move down and more of lung will be aerated. So more of the structures will be seen, like particularly ribs. So you can see here, this is a good inspiration film wherein you can see more ribs. How what is ideal up to the seventh anterior end of seventh rib. This is the anterior end of seventh rib. So you can see here anterior end of first rib, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So 7 ribs. You can trace it on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is seventh rib, like on the other side. This is seventh rib anterior rib. Or a 10th rib posterior one. Like this is the 10th rib. You count this posterior ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th rib. So either the 10th, the posterior end of the 10th rib must be seen, or anterior end of the 7th rib must be seen above the diaphragm, dome of the diaphragm. Like diaphragm should not be here at this point. Okay. Diaphragm should not be overlapping like 6th rib here. It should not be. This is a poor inspiratory film. Here you can see the diaphragm is below the 7th rib. This is 7th rib, it's below. So this is a good inspiratory film. This is a midclavicular line. And you must see 7th rib anterior at the midclavicular line, not overlapped by the diaphragm. That's the ideal film. So if you see the example here, so this is not a, it's not like expiration, means patient did not take good inspiration or he could not hold it for a long time, so X-rays were taken. So here you can see only 1, 2, 3, only 3 ribs are seen, 3 anterior ends are seen. I don't know how much it is visible for you, but it is like, it's properly, only 3 ribs are seen here. Ideally we thought we should see 7, but only 3 are seen. They are marked and shown here. So 3 ribs. And on the one more thing is, like if you see here, lower lungs are very clear. Here looks black on X-ray. So it's very clear here. If you see a good inspiratory film, proper inspiration here, this area is all very clear. But when you go to when there is inspiration is not good, you can see the lower parts, like so hazy it is. It's very hazy because lungs are not expanded. So it may be, we may confuse it for when there is suspicion high. One may get doubt about that this may be consolidation or not, or it may be pleural effusion or not. So that doubt may come. So such cases always good to do with the inspiration. So when that same X-ray was done with proper inspiration, you can see there is no doubt when compared to this one, when proper inspiration, this all area got cleared up. And you can see more ribs being visible now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 ribs are visible. Sometimes they may not be able to do up to 7th rib. 6th is also decent. You can see the 7th rib here, but not in the midclavicular line. 7th anterior end. 6th anterior end is seen. So it's good. Decent film. So the doubt is clear. So wrongly reporting this as consolidation is not good. We should try to repeat this one. If reputation is not possible, patient is still not holding breath, then only remaining tool is CT chest. But again, CT chest comes with lot of radiation. It's like one CT is like 1000 X-rays and all, roughly if we compare. So we should try to do with the X-ray itself. Sometimes patient may not be able to be mobilized. So we should try to do good inspiration and take the X-ray. Or you can tell them to take good inspiration. So this is effect of inspiration on the X-ray. Then penetration. So okay, when we are taking X-rays, the X-ray beams, I showed you, they go through the patient. So sometimes we may use, sometimes the penetration may be more or less. What do I mean by that? We may not use proper and then strength X-rays like we vary. X-ray strength, X-ray strength which we use for different parts of the body are different. So it needs to be set every time some part X-ray is taken. Like chest is different, spine is different, depending on the density of the body part. X-ray strength is fixed. So if it is not set properly, a higher strength is used for chest instead of like a spine level of strength is used for chest X-ray. We may get a over penetrated film, or a low strength is used. Low strength X-rays are used. It may be under penetrated film. So like this. So this is an example of under penetration. So ideally, how to tell which X-ray when an X-ray penetration part is good? That it is by seeing the like lower part of the cardiac. This is a cardiac shadow. You see the lower part of the cardiac shadow, and through this, the spine, the lower thoracic vertebra must be just seen. It should not be like very clearly seen like up here, or it should not be like totally not seen like here. It should be barely seen. So this one penetration, this is properly seen, then it means it's a good penetration. It's a good exposure factors are used, good strength exposure are used, and penetration is good. So that is one of the ideal film characters. So sorry, I'm very fast. Okay, so it's written here. To check the penetration, lower part of cardiac shadow clearly visible. The vertebral body should be barely visible through the cardiac shadow. If they are clearly visible, that means film is over penetrated. If they cannot see, all the film is under penetrated, and the left hemidiaphragm should be visible to the edge of the spine like this. This is left hemidiaphragm. Up to the spine, we are able to see the bond this side of it. Whereas on this side, we are not able to see. It's like ending here. Beyond that, it's not very clear. So we may get doubt that there might be some lesion behind here. So this good penetration film will clear our doubts. This penetration issue was major problem in like maybe 10 years back when conventional way X-rays were done. Nowadays, because of all digital systems, we are using digital X-rays. Penetration may not be a problem because what we do is after obtaining films, we can change the penetration parameters on the computer. It will set the parameters and it will give an image. So this is not a major problem now, but still we cannot take very bad X-rays and expect computer to do it good. So the decent exposure factors must be used. If repeatedly this is happening, then we have to check the machine or the technique which is being done. So penetration must be checked. So these are the 5 points as I told you. Number of projection, PA or AP, then orientation, left or right markings, then rotation, amount of rotation to be seen, like distance of clavicle medial lens from the spine. Then inspiration, good inspiration or bad inspiration, poor inspiration, like 7th rib or 10th rib. Like you can get it out for consolidation. So inspiration or respiration. Then penetration, amount of penetration must be seen. These are the 5 basic things which you should see to tell us this X-ray can be interpreted or not. So after this, we'll see some anatomical structures which can be seen on a just a PA view. AP view necessarily looks same just like PA view. Only thing is cardia will look more enlarged and diaphragms will be a little bit higher. So there won't be much difference in the way the structures are seen. Some lung bases will get obscured in AP view. Cardia will look falsely enlarged and vessels will look more prominent. Only this will be the difference between AP view and PA view. And generally, we don't measure cardiac size on the AP view. We try to avoid it. So that is one thing. The normal few structures which I'll show you now. Like we usually try to identify either from center to periphery or this is central area. This is the peripheral area. So systematically from center to periphery, above downwards, or below upwards, we try to see the X-ray. So in this X-ray, we'll see from beginning. Like exposure, this is a PA view. Like because you're seeing the clavicle not totally obscuring the lung, and the scapula, it's far away from the lung, so you can see the scapula here. It's far, it's not overlapping the lung. So these are 2 things which tell that this is a PA view. Then next, like the rotation, you can see the middle end of the this is on middle end of clavicle. This is on middle end of clavicle. This is all equidistant from the spinous process. So it is fair positioning, and you can see the vertebra here. Beyond cardia, they are visible to a certain extent. So it's a good penetration and inspiration also. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 are seen. So it's a fair enough inspiration. So on these 3, 4 criteria, it is good, and even the L marker is put properly. There is no confusion between L marker, cardiac size, and the stomach bubble here. So there is no conflict. So seeing all these parameters, this is a proper technique or proper flow which we can interpret. So now normal structures, this is a trachea from above. It comes to the neck. From after larynx, trachea comes. The trachea will come down like this, bifurcate into carina. At the carina, it will bifurcate into bronchus, like they are written here. It will go into the hyla. Like through the hyla, it will enter into the lung with segmental, subsegmental branches will be there. And also at the hyla, vessels will be there. Hyla vessels, pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, all bronchial arteries, all structures will enter into the lung at this point. Just chest X-ray, we can't tell which is artery, which is vein. Generally, we can tell this is the hilum. That extent we can tell. More than this, no, not possible. So then in a more upper area in the central, this is the aortic knuckle. Aorta comes from right side like this, bed side it descends down. So this is the aortic knuckle here on the right side top. And then AP window, this is called aorta pulmonary window. Then pulmonary artery. There are hilum we can call. Pulmonary artery is the biggest structure there, but hilum we can call. Then left auricle, then the left ventricle here. Left heart border is mainly formed by like left ventricle. So on right side, this is the innominate artery. Some part of SVC will be there here. Then this is the right side heart border. Then some part of IVC will be there here. These are the borders on the right side. And these are two hilar. Like this is the right side, this is the left side hilar. This is the right side, this is the left side hilar. It's like forming like an angle here, which I was telling you. These are the vessels going down, going up from either side. These are the vessels. And these are all black looking structures here. Most prominently which is seen is black is lung because it contains air. Air doesn't absorb X-rays, so it will look black. The ones which absorb X-rays will look white. The most which bones which absorb most will look most white. Whereas lungs will do not, like practically for our X-ray purpose, don't absorb X-rays. So they will look black. This is all normally here all lungs must be seen black, and a few vessels will be seen branching through the lung up to the peripheral part. Like this, they may not reach up to the wall, or maybe up to 1 centimeter they may go. So lung vessels will be seen. In a PA view, standing position, lower X-ray, lower field X-rays will be, the vessels will be seen properly. Upper field vessels will not be seen so properly. So that is one finding. Lungs must be seen. These are the ribs on the lung field. These are the intercostal spaces. These are the posterior end of ribs. These are the anterior end of ribs. As I showed you, I counted and showed you. So those are the ribs. Then the CP angle and scapula, humerus, clavicles on either side. Here are the domes of diaphragm. Right, this is the left dome. Under the dome of diaphragm, in the standing pitch, X-rays taken in a standing position, in a erect position, you will get stomach bubble here. If it's a sleeping position, you may not be able to see. In a supine position, if it is still, it will not be seen clearly. So there is a gastric bubble there. These are the structures to be seen on normal X-ray. Coming to trachea, as I told you, it's like a lucid seat. You will see it will be seen in the midline. Some slightly maybe deviated to right, it is normal. What we see in trachea is we see the size and we see the deviation to either of the sides. Carina normally angle 60 to 100 degrees. In some cases, there might be widening of carinal angle, like mitral stenosis. So this is about trachea. You can see this is the central portion here. On this side, the trachea. Bifurcating, this is a carina here. This is just a graphic representation of the trachea. Trachea will have rings, so it's been shown. Sometimes in normal, elder people, if it is done, these rings may get calcified and they may look bright. So tracheal calcification is also normal. Maybe in a young age, if it is seen, it may be abnormal. But if you're seeing after 60, 70, it is normal. So this is trachea and carina. Then hilar structures, also called as lung root. Hilar not symmetrical, but they consist same basic structures. Anyways, we can't differentiate those individual structures on X-ray. And sometimes lymph nodes are present. Usually, small lymph nodes are present; they may not be seen. But when lymph nodes get enlarged, the hilar angle gets distorted. This is called hilar point or hilar angle, which I showed you previously. Like it forms an angle. The hilar angle is formed by like a pulmonary artery and pulmonary veins overlap. It's not exactly crossing of the vessels. It is just because the X-ray is taken a projection view, they look like overlapping, they form an angle. It's not like a really angle is there, it's just something like visually it's seen like that. So we use this angle, and we use this angle because when normally it look like a concave angle like this. If there is lymph node here, this may become flattened, this may become bulging, or there might be some mass, this may change. So just the change in this higher angle, it may look convex. We will think of some mass or just a dilated pulmonary artery itself. Those things we will think. So right hilum sometimes it will be lower, both can be at the same level, or right will be lower, left will be higher. Position changes. So that is about the hilum. Then lungs, as I told you, they occupy the largest portion. They are described by dividing into 3 zones. And these zones are not lobes. Like we call it as upper, mid, and lower zones, and it's just X-ray only, not on CTGs or some other modality. And these zones are not equal to lobes which we see, which we describe a normal like the sectional anatomy or gross anatomy, which is the upper, mid lobe, lingular lobe. These are not those lobes. These are zones. So, and we must always compare it right and left. Let's compare it right and left. And to see a abnormality in lung, we must compare one side to another side. Usually, and with the experience, we have to decide which is abnormal, which is normal. So this is how we tell the zones, like first rib, second rib, up to the anterior end of second rib, upper zone. Then below second rib, third rib, up to fourth rib, mid zone. And below fourth rib anterior end, whatever is seen is lower zone. So this is upper zone, this is mid zone, this is lower zone. It's based on ribs. This is second rib here, this is fourth rib here. This is all not like something structures exist there, just for visual purposes have been divided. Some people even divide it by the position of clavicle, some people divide it by position of cardia, but we here usually use this anterior end of ribs as a landmark. So this is how we divide upper, mid, and lower ribs. Sorry, zones by using second and fourth rib anterior ends. And we compare similar areas. We compare when we are seeing upper zone, we compare upper zone of one side with upper zone of other side, mid zone of one side with other side. So it will be easy to tell abnormality. Like some area, if it has become more lucent or sometimes become more dark, depending on the type of the pathology, the density will vary. Pleura on a chest X-ray, normally it is not seen. Unless there is abnormality, we won't see any pleura on a chest X-ray. That's very thin needle, barely 2 mm it will be. Only thing is the lung markings which you are seeing here must be reaching up to the pleural surface. The pleura will be here, lining along the pleural wall, along the diaphragm, and even along the mediastinal pleura. All over this place there will be pleura lining. It won't be seen anything. Only when it gets thickened, or there is a pleural calcification is there, or any loculated pleural affinity, you will see it as a thickening. If not, nothing will be seen. That is normal. So that is about pleura. CP angle and CP recess, like costophrenic angle and recess. The costophrenic recess formed by hemidiaphragm and the chest wall. So they contain the rim of the lung base which lie over the dome of the diaphragm. These angles are known as costophrenic angles. Costophrenic angles would form acute angle that are sharp to the point. So this is a costophrenic recess. This is the angle. This is margin, this is angle, this is a recess. Okay, so it must be very sharp, and you should not see normally only air density, like only lucency must be seen up to this point, below point. If fluid is there, it may become more dense. So, or and usually at some lung markings also must be seen up to this area. If not, a pneumothorax, a massive pneumothorax, this may be very lucent. So, costophrenic angle must be seen. This is cardiophrenic angle, likewise here. Phrenic means diaphragm, costal means rib, cardio means heart, phrenic angle, this is the cardiophrenic angle on either side, costophrenic angles. As I told you, sometimes lateral films are done. This is a lateral view, wherein you are seeing this is a cardia. The anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum, posterior mediastinum. People divide mediastinum based on like there are different classification for mediastinum, which are some people follow, like this is up to this point, anterior mediastinum, people call anterior end. This like up to the anterior one third of vertebral body. This is the middle mediastinum. This is the posterior mediastinum. This is the anterior mediastinum. This is the middle mediastinum. So it depends. Like different classifications are there. But when with the advent of CT and all, when things are very obvious in cross-section imaging, division of mediastinum on a X-ray is lost one. But you have to follow some type of classification system must be followed. So it depends which your individual is following. Generally, this is anterior midline posterior mediastinum like this. Like from the posterior border of the trachea, some people may go like this. This much only is anterior mediastinum. This entire thing is middle mediastinum. Different types of classifications are there. So that's how you see. This is anterior angle, CP angles, this cardiopulmonary angle. CP angles. In lateral film also we don't use very frequent. Only AP and PAVs are used. And in AP and PAV both it's same. This is the CP angles. And in AP view, one thing is CP angles may not be seen clearly in AP view because of poor inspiration and so because of lying down patient lungs may become like edematous in that area. So it will not be seen. CP angles may not be seen clearly generally in AP view. So we should not interpret it as pure lesion or consolidation. That must be kept in mind. And next thing is hemidiaphragm. You must see this is the right hemidiaphragm, this is the left hemidiaphragm. They must form a sharp contour, and it must be clearly visible under the left hemidiaphragm. You should not only see diaphragm, you should see under the diaphragm also. Like seeing air under this diaphragm, only soft tissue must be seen normally under the right dome of diaphragm. Nothing else must be seen. If air is seen, that is abnormal. That is a pathology we are not discussing now. So soft tissues must be seen. Only soft tissue must be seen under the right dome. There should be no translucency under the right dome of diaphragm. Likewise, left dome in a standing X-ray, in a erect X-ray, patient is standing. We will normally see the fundus, stomach fundus, which has air bubble. So that is normally seen in a standing X-ray. If the person is supine or lying down, we may not see that. So that is normal. That also must be observed. And hemidiaphragms we may try to see on the like lateral X-ray. This is one. This is another one. So one side diaphragm will be continuously seen, another diaphragm may not be totally seen. That is because cardia usually it sits on the left dome of diaphragm, most of the cardia. So where the diaphragm comes in contact with the head of cardia, that part of diaphragm may not be seen clearly, will not be seen clearly on the lateral. That is one point to be kept in mind while interpreting pathologies. So cardia per se, what we will see about cardia is cardia size we will see, and the shape of the cardia also, like contour of the cardia. So the heart cardiac size is measured by using cardiac thoracic ratio. It's called cardiac thoracic ratio. We measure the right size of heart and the size of the thorax, and we take a ratio. And if cardia is 50%, up to 50% is normal. More than 50% is cardiomegaly. So this is how it is measured by two parallel lines, and maximum distance between the parallel lines is measured. Like one parallel line on the right side, one on the left side. Maximum distance between these two parallel lines, and the maximum width of thoracic cavity. How is this measured? This is the inner diameter, not the outer length from here. It is the inner diameter, and the maximum inner diameter between the two parallel lines drawn along the inner border of the thorax. Maximum diameter is measured, and ratio is taken. So this looks like almost 50%. So it's normal. More than 50, 55, 60% is taken as abnormal. So when we are seeing when we are trying to measure a cardiothoracic result, few things must be kept in mind. One is it must be a good inspiration film. As I told you, you must see like on all the ribs, like up to 6 ribs, at least 6 ribs must be seen to measure cardiothoracic ratio. If it is not a poor, proper inspiratory film, diaphragm will be up and cardia may falsely look enlarged. So that must be kept in mind when you are measuring cardiothoracic ratio. Cardiac border is the left cardiac border to the right cardiac border. So what forms mainly right atrium, right auricle forms the right cardiac border. Left ventricle mainly forms the left cardiac border, which is seen on X-ray. Then the mediastinum. As I already told you, anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum, posterior mediastinum. These are seen mainly on a lateral X-ray, but again, different classification systems are there. So we may not be able to cover here. So this is the retrosternal space, and some amount of lung tissue will be seen in the anterior mediastinum. This is the lung tissue normally, and this is the cardia. This is the post beyond the cardia lung, and this is the vertebral bodies. So this is normal density. Like here it will be more loosened than cardia. Then again lucency posteriorly. Then vertebrae will be seen in the lower part of the chest normally. If these are not seen, this area vertebrae are not seen in the lateral view, that means some mass or effusion or consolidation will be there. So that must be seen on seeing a lateral view. So just to identify the borders, the right innominate vein on the left side, left. This is the right border of mediastinum. On the right side, right mediastinal border, left mediastinal border. You can see. So right side, right innominate vein, superior vena cava. This is ascending aorta, right atrium, and a small portion of SVC will be seen sometimes. Sometimes it will not be seen. So right auricle will be right atrium. Some amount of SVC, IVC. To the right cardiac, right innominate vein, superior vena cava, ascending aorta, atrium. Left side, similarly, left innominate vein, aortic arch, then aortic pulmonary window. To the left pulmonary artery, you can call hilum. Then left ventricle. This one, left ventricle mass. This you can see a faint line here. This is aorta. This is the either side diaphragm. This is the right diaphragm. Yeah. So this is how you see margins of mediastinum. And sometimes these margins may get widened in some pathologies, or they may not be seen. Sometimes the aortic knuckle may not be seen. It depends on some pathology. If it is touching it or involving it, you may not see. Aorta pulmonary ileum, it may become flat or convex if there is some lymph node or some vessel enlargement here. Again, like with left ventricle also, cardiomegaly, it may be turned up, turned effects might be seen. So by knowing these normal contours and outlines, we can tell whether there is pathology or not. So a little bit zoomed up images. This is the aortic knuckle. This one is the aortic knuckle and the ascending aorta. This is the ascending aorta here. You can see the ascending aorta, arch, aortic knuckle, pulmonary artery. You can see. When a film is very good exposure, you may sometimes see the pulmonary artery. Sometimes it may not be seen. It's not compulsory. Only this hilar angle is important. That must be observed. There is one azygous structure, and this is called as paratracheal stripe. What is paratracheal stripe? A bit complicated, but it's like it is formed by the fold of pleura. On either side, it is surrounded by air. It starts from the middle end of the clavicle, goes down, and ends at the level of azygous vein. Azygous vein here, it will be seen. So this stripe is important to see in X-rays. If there is some mass or lymph node or something, it will push this line so laterally. So that's how we can identify growth in abnormality in that area. That is the right paratracheal stripe. Like that, there are multiple lines and stripes which are identified in the mediastinum, which are not be covering now. That itself is a different topic totally. And now soft tissues, like normal fat plates. Fat appears lucent but less lucent than lung, and more lucent than other soft tissues. So soft tissues must be seen. Like this is a supraclavicular soft tissue pad. Like fat tissue will be there. Here it will look lucent. And bones. The next important structures are bones. We saw mediastinum, we saw hilum, lung, diaphragm, and bones also. Like ribs, I showed you. You must try to count all the ribs and see the margin of the ribs. These are the margins of the ribs. For any discontinuity, that means fractures. Then other bones are like clavicle must be seen. Then scapula, then the glenoid, acromion, coracoid, head of humerus. So these all must be seen. You must try to see, because in a certain case, it may be a trauma patient, a bone may be missing. So we must always trace a bone. It happens with reports that even missing bones, people don't notice those things. So as a point of observation, you should see all these things all the time. So you must try to trace all the bones. You must trace the bones, like how I draw. Bones must be traced. So it's a normal structures to be seen. This is clavicle lateral end. This is the acromioclavicular joint. This is shoulder joint. These are the normal structures which can be seen on a normal chest X-ray. So this is about X-ray chest. Now briefly about X-ray abdomen. Again, like chest X-ray, abdomen X-ray is also being done in multiple views. Ideally, most ideally, the required is which we want to do is X-ray erect abdomen. But many times patient may not be able to stand or operate with it. So we may use sitting or sleeping. Supine position also might be done. So that is one thing. And again, like in chest X-ray, when we hold breath held, that is for good inspiration. Here, breath hold is to avoid movement artifact. Here we ask the patient to hold breath, so for avoiding the movement artifact, that may not be possible sometimes, but most of the times we should try to do that. And sometimes some people ask for preparation. That's all not possible most of the times. So one thing is Direct X-ray most of the time is required, but not possible. We'll have to do some other techniques like I'll show you. So this is supine. Supine not normally done because bowel gas and other patterns will not be seen normally. But if patient is not able to cooperate, we'll have to do a supine position only. So this is mostly done in the when KUV X-rays are required, not for abdominal pathologies. Only for kidney or bladder, this will be sufficient. But for when you are suspecting for bowel obstruction or any pneumoperitoneum, such things, we cannot do this view. Why I will tell you. So this is supine X-ray of abdomen. Most common direct X-ray. So it will show clearly. It will show here to develop this fundus, other bowel layer, air shadow, normal air shadow will show. And one thing is, whenever X-ray abdomen is done, and whenever somebody wants to interpret as a normal abnormal, one must see that at least some part of lung is covered, so that dome of diaphragm is totally covered. Because pneumoperitoneum in standing patient will be very clearly seen in this area. So you must be careful that a part of lung is covered and diaphragm dome is totally included to see for pneumoperitoneum. That is the most common indication where an X-ray abdomen is done. Patient comes with abdomen pain and we want to see pneumoperitoneum, that is where it is done. So it must be, while before interpreting, to see normally, you must see that some part of, at least some part of lung is covered. So the diaphragm will be definitely covered in that situation. This is the topmost part of diaphragm. This must not be missed even here. That must be done. So some part of lung will be always covered in the X-ray erect abdomen. So you can see this is the area exposed. Like you see this slide here. This area X-ray erect abdomen is done. If it's lower parts, we can cover some more depending on the size of X-ray film available. Sometimes the patient cannot be able to stand up. So this decubitus views are done. Like patient is sleeping and turning to one side. Supine X-ray is not. Why these things are done? Again, I told you most commonly indication would be to look for pneumoperitoneum. And also, you know, air is lighter than other structures in the body. So in a standing position, air is lighter, it will come up. It will come and settle and it will come and stand and stay under the dome of diaphragm. But in sleeping, it may not come. So if you turn the patient to one side, what happens is the X-ray will come to, sorry, air will come to one of the sides, whichever side is up, non-dependent location, dependent areas, other solid structures will go. Air will go to the non-dependent side. And in that case, we should take the X-ray cassette must be kept in front of the patient and source behind the patient. If we take X-rays like this, we can see pneumoperitoneum in this non-dependent action, this area. So all soft tissue fluids will go here. If air is free, air is there, it will be seen here. So we try to do that sometimes when it is not possible. The direct X-ray is not possible. Now we can do this decubitus X-ray, lateral decubitus X-ray with the horizontal beam projection. It is called lateral decubitus X-ray with horizontal beam. Okay, here you can see it's like frontal projection. This is from the front it is going. Tube is not like tilted and X-ray is also cassette is also straight, but here it is horizontal along across the trabel it is going. So it's horizontal projection. Left lateral decubitus either right or left depends on what can be done. So lateral decubitus with horizontal beam projection can be done when we want to see pneumoperitoneum and patient is not able to stand. This can be done. Likewise, even if lateral is not possible, sometimes supine you can do this horizontal, like supine with the horizontal beam projection. Similarly here, the X-ray is going from this side to this side, patient is flipping supine. You can see the difference here from this one and this supine beam. It's directly going through and through the patient here. This is like a frontal projection. The front it is going, whereas in this supine X-ray, from sides it is going. The X-ray will be going from this side to this side. So these are the two differences. So either lateral decubitus with horizontal beam projection or supine with horizontal beam projection will be done to look for air. You can see air has come to the non-dependent location here. This is spine, this is posteriorly. So here also, any movable soft tissue structures will go here. Air, whichever is free, will come and collect in this non-dependent area, and we can see. But now with availability of CT, so easily available, a CT plain abdomen will solve most of the problems. All these things may not be possible because many times this might be a polytrauma patient, there may be pelvic fractures and all. You may not be able to do all these maneuvers in such patients. So, but when nothing else is available, something must be done, and these are just techniques which we should know. Like on these things, we should know the normal anatomy. So first seeing, look at the diaphragm, whether they are covered or not, and is there any entry here? It's a part of pathology, but still it's very important to see the diaphragm. And by seeing this diaphragm also, you can tell whether it is a sleeping, supine or because or if it is more convex and well seen, it will be usually supine X-ray, supine film. Sorry, erect film. When it is seen convex diaphragm is seen like this, it will be erect film, and you can see here air. If you see this previous X-ray, it is just a soft tissue under the diaphragm. There is no lucency under this diaphragm. But when you go to this X-ray, you can see a clear lucency here. This is not a normal structure. This normal thing. This is abnormality. Just to appreciate the difference I'm showing. This is diaphragm border. This is liver border. A. So it is needed to see that the diaphragm is visualized when seeing the abdomen X-ray. It's very important. So other cross structures which can be soft tissue structures which can be seen when you are seeing abdomen X-ray. On the right side, liver, the left side, spleen in the upper quadrant, like right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, mid quadrants, then lower quadrants. And this patient had a cervical clip. So that to show different densities of head this. Like here is black, then liver, little bit white, more white is bones. And these are air. Like not all air which is seen in the X-ray rectum is abnormal, because there will be normally also there will be air in bowel, and there is a expected location of this air shadows, which must be it must be not called as abnormal. These are normal, like stomach bubble being seen under the left lung diaphragm, and in the right iliac fossa cecum sometimes it will be seen, and you can see a small bubble in the central quadrant, that is normal. A few air bubbles, few air shadows seen normally it's normal, and in the pelvis rectal air shadow is normal gas in the rectum. So these are all normal air lucencies. That is bowel gas pattern. You must know the normal which I showed is normal air pattern. And this air pattern must be like measurements we can take. If it is done properly, we can take measurements. A rule of 369 is used. Like where it is where we expect small bowel, it should not be more than 3, and 6 not more than 6 for colon. And in the right iliac quadrant, if the lucency is more than 9, that means it is dilated. These are for X-ray, not for CT and all. When we are seeing in X-ray, these things should be followed. So this is normal stomach appearance. This is how stomach appears in the right upper quadrant, normally in the central quadrant. This is stomach lucency. This is normal. Normal small bowel. Small bowels they are usually seen in the central abdomen, and they have this feature called valvular tenuentis, which is a mucosal fold you all know. And in small bowel, this fold should be seen through and through on a plain X-ray. That is one way how we identify a small bowel. On contrary, large bowel, the mucous fold should be seen with a called haustra, but they won't be seen through and through. And another difference is small large bowel will be seen in the more peripheral area of the abdomen. This is seen in the more central area of the abdomen. So this is for large bowel. Like this is hepatic flexure, like splenic flexure, colon, and all this. You can see some white, black, brown strings are seen in the area of colon. That is because of fecal matter. Motile lucencies will be seen. That is because of fecal matter. And fecal matter in the expected area of colon is not abnormal. When it is such opacities are seen in the central abdomen or an unexpected location, then only it is abnormal. So if you know these normal gas patterns on an X-ray. As I told you, small bowel identified by central position in the abdomen, and valvular tenuentis. These are mucosal folds that cross the full width of bowel. On contrary, large bowel, peripheral position, haustra, and the motile lucencies which are fecal matter. So these three things are for large bowel. So sometimes what happens, a large bowel, small bowel may be very much dilated. That is in case of obstruction. It may also show like fecal content, that is called small bowel feces sign. That is a sign of a small bowel obstruction. So this pattern, type of how the air is seen, where it is expected must be known. Another X-ray showing normal structures I showed you of. This is the right kidney here. Usually erect X-ray abdomen we do not see kidneys because the preparation needed for kidneys is not done when we take a X-ray abdomen. Usually in emergency indications it is done. So for doing a X-ray kidney KUB region, we have to prepare to remove the bowel gas, we give enema. Enema is not given, but air removal, like alcohol, so these things can be given. So generally, but we can see this is the right kidney. This is the left kidney outline here. Then on the either side, this is a spine in the middle. This is a psoas shed on either side. Expected colon, then splenic flexure, all these things. Then bones will be same like this. If it is a 12th rib here, first lumbar, second, third, fourth, fifth lumbar vertebra will be same. Then on either side, iliac bone, the midline sacrum, here in the down below, pubic symphysis, and hip joints on either side, femur head, SI joints on either side. These are all bony structures which we see on X-ray after the outline of the structures, how they are seen. This is the right kidney. The left kidney is fully seen. This is the lower marginal spleen. On overlapping stomach can be seen over the region of left kidney. Psoas outline. This line is outline of psoas muscle, and this is the outline of right psoas muscle. Colon, the right lower quadrant, ascending colon, descending colon, like some ball of small intestine central area, rectum in the pelvis. So this is done for lower portion. Just to see the bones. 12th vertebra, ribs here. After that, there are no ribs L1, L2, L3, L4, L5 vertebra, etc. SI joints. Coccyx, like sacrum exercise, coccyx, hip joint, femoral, you can see. So these are the normal things which you see. So I think we'll end here. If anything anybody wants to ask, we can see. Nothing is there. Okay, then I'll end my class here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I think somebody will be taking attendance. I think. I don't know about it.